Hello guys, welcome to Subhra the Geek. Welcome to day 5 of our Python tutorial series where we learn Python fast, free and professionally. So guys, thank you a lot for your support in my Python series. Some days you haven't given support, some days you have given enough support to make me overwhelmed. So guys, I have started with operators, then I went to list tuples dictionaries. Then in the third class, what we did functions, and in the fourth class, we had a brief overview of classes. And now today, I'm going to discuss the most important thing of any high-end or newer programming languages, that is object-oriented programming languages, or what is the concept behind object-oriented programming language. So I have written the definition which I am going to be talking about. I have given an example over here. All the things are written as usual. Let's jump onto it without wasting any time. VS Code again, or stablemate, we can say. So without further ado, I am your host Subhra. Welcome to Subhra the Geek. Let's start, shall we? So guys, now we are in VS Code. So today's video will be short, like each and every day I make a video of near about 40-45 minutes or more than that, an hour or so. So today I'm gonna make it a pretty short video, like within 25 to 26 minutes. If I can, let's try, so that you get motivated, and larger videos never motivates me. So I wanted to do this in 7 days, that's why these videos are a bit large. Post the 7 days, the videos will be short. I will give you a guarantee about it. So guys, let's start. So today we'll be learning about object-oriented programming and what are the features of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming in short form is known as OOP, OOP, or OOPS in other terminologies. So OOP is a object-oriented programming system, which is a revolutionary concept in programming languages, which started coming from C++, then Java, then Python, and much more languages like Smalltalk, Dart, and all follow object-oriented concept. So before that, so what was the need of object-oriented programming language? So before that, we had POP, procedure-oriented programming systems, or POPs, POPs. So why it was created, and when we had such powerful languages as C, Fortran. Yeah, all the languages like Python, Java, which I talked about, or C++, all are written with C at the back end. But why we require this kind of languages? Guys, I have stay on till the end of the video and you'll understand completely like why this was needed, and I have explained each and every part of it, minute part, which I have learned through ages. Like I have been coding in object-oriented programming system. First started with Java, then Python, then MATLAB, and other different languages. So I have been coding in these languages for the last 7 years now. So I have an experience of sorts. So to give you an idea, not 7, I have the experience of like 9 years now. So let's start. So why it was created when we had C and Fortran, such beautiful languages. Those languages were procedure-oriented languages, meaning you had a system, you had a task, and you divided into number of functions. You had the main task, which was divided into number of functions, and for each and every small part, you used to call a function. Now, what are the benefits and drawbacks? So it gave you the power to debug each and everything minutely. That's a very good benefit. Now, what are the drawbacks? There were many. I'll be giving all the drawbacks a bit later. So stay till the end and you will get to know each and everything. So in object-oriented programming language, or OOPS, we use classes and objects in their programs. Like last day we saw, we can use classes and objects in the programs. A class is a module in itself which contains data, which are nothing but variables with values, and methods. Methods are nothing but functions, as I told you. Methods and functions are completely analogous and they're same. Just the nomenclature is a bit different. So the main in object-oriented languages, what is done? Our main task is divided into classes, and each and every classes is further can be further divided into objects. So what is happening? Like each and every part, each and every different part has a class for it. So we can directly modify the class, we can directly debug the class, and we can directly make changes to the class without affecting other parts of other classes, which was not possible in procedure-oriented programming languages. So now, what were the problems with procedure-oriented programming languages? I have written 4 over here, but there are many. If you want, I'll give you a PDF out of it, like how large it is. So data is exposed to a whole in procedure-oriented programming language. What happened is the data was not restricted, and it was exposed to the whole program. So there was a risk of data security. The data was not secured. Say for example, password. Password is not required. You are building an application, and that has a password, and that password is not required for each and every part of the program to handle. Like password is a secret thing which you need to validate your account. That's it. And for that you do not need, say for example, after you have done validation, you don't need the password for like checking your funds in a banking system. So in procedure oriented languages, those things happen. Now another thing, like in object oriented, everything is an object. As I told you, Python everything is an object. I have a bottle in my hand, I can physically feel it. It has certain properties. It has a small cylindrical neck, a larger cylindrical body. It has a diameter, it is hard, it is made up of plastic, it has medicine in it, and all the things I can measure, like how much ml it has 100 ml of medicine inside it. So each and everything is a property in which I can see, which I can feel. But in procedure oriented programming language, it was not there. So guys, now the next problem which was there was creation of new data types. Like in procedure oriented programming languages, we used to face problems on creating new data types. Like in object oriented programming language, as I told you in the last day, that class is a user defined data type. What I mean by that is, in class you can define many functions, many variables, and all the variables you can access via an object, and that object will act as a variable of the data type of your class. That's very powerful. Like when we'll be coding for, like as I told you, I'll be giving some codes, I'll be coding some very good problems over here which you can directly write in your CV. So while I will be doing that, you can see like how can we do that, how and why we do that. Like it gives us so much reusability of code you cannot understand, and you are defining your own data type. That data type will perform according to you and not on predefined ways. So you can define your own ways. That much power you have in this higher level languages like Java and Python or C++. Importance is given to operation on data rather than the data itself. Like in object oriented languages, what happens, the most importance is given to the operations which are performed on data. Like object has data and it is performing some operations on data, and this thing, like the power is given to that, like that operation, and not the data itself. Yeah, data is valuable, but the operation is much more valuable. If we can give more importance to the operation and protect that operation, we can use it in multiple types of data and multiple layers of data nowadays, where data is in explosion state, and like data has surpassed the value of oil for next 100 years, and data is called as the digital gold, and data is ever increasing nowadays. So we have to make our system scalable, and my friend object oriented programming approach helps that. So guys, object oriented and procedure oriented both are like two concepts, two very basic concepts which are given in programming languages, and using these concepts you can make wonders. You never know, you can make wonders out of this language. Okay, a language can be said as object oriented programming language if it follows the 7 criterions which I have listed over here. Number one, classes and objects. Last day we saw how classes are created, how objects are created out of a class. What is a class? Class is a blueprint of an object for an object, and we can create multiple n number of objects inside using that blueprint of the class. It's like a physical, it's like a plan which we have for building a house, and after that we can make n number of houses following the same plan. So classes and objects, this is the first one. Number two is data abstraction. So what is abstraction? Hiding the unnecessary parts of the data from the user. Like, you may have a lot of data, but user doesn't need to see what is the data or how the data you are using. User needs to see certain parts of the data. Let me give you a very basic example. Two examples actually. While driving a car, you press the brake to stop the car, the brake pedal. So what happens? At the back end, it does something like some fluid motions and all. I know what happens at the back end, but I won't bore you with that. So some fluid motions goes on at the back end, and thus the car stops. So as a user, as a new person who doesn't know or doesn't want to know any mechanical stuff, so for that person, what he learns is, we press the brake, the car stops. That much data is needed for a user to work, and not how like one fluid pushes on another fluid, that fluid pushes over there, and the drum expands and stops the car. So that much information is not required for each and every user. Similarly, while we are, say for example, we are standing on the top of a terrace and an airplane flies. So what happens? We see like the airplane flying, and we wonder how it flies. But actually, what happens inside, we do not need to know. You know that okay, it glides through the air. That much information is needed by the user, but the actual information, how the rotors spin and how it passes the air through it, is not required. So those data is not required by each and every user, and for that we need abstraction. Not every data is required by the user. I can give you a very basic another example. Say for example, you have the ATM pin. So you do not need to share the ATM pin or card number CVV. You can show that you have a bank card, you have a card given by the bank. That's all. That's all the data you need to show to the world. But actually you have the data of your card, the card number, the CVV, the pin, and you can use that to process further. So that's the power of abstraction. So how we can abstract some things. Now encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Encapsulation came from the term capsule. So what was capsule? In capsule we had certain types of medicines, different types of medicines which were mixed in the powdered form, and it was not reacting unless we ingest it with water, and it goes into our system, and the capsule breaks, or the things inside the capsule, the medicines inside the capsule, starts to react. Similarly, over here, we can capsulate, like put together the different functions, the different variables, the different attributes or methods of the class together into a beautiful unit, and that unit won't react unless you create an instance and call the different methods of it. So in basic definition, encapsulation is nothing but wrapping up of data and functions or attributes and methods into a single unit called class is known as encapsulation. That's as basic as it goes. So guys, don't worry, that next video is on abstraction and encapsulation. I will explain abstraction and encapsulation. Then the last video of this series will be on inheritance and polymorphism. So I am explaining the terms over here. I'll give you a small example of each. And the last two, dynamic binding and message passing. Dynamic binding is what we observe in Python, which I'll be explaining. And message passing is a far advanced term in any programming language. So I will be showing that message passing, how one object passes message to another object of the same class. So I'll be showing each and everything, don't worry. This will be done in the advanced section, which will be happening after this 7-day lecture. So next is inheritance. Inheritance is the same term which we heard in biology. So inheriting some property of your parents, inheriting one where a child inherits some property from his parent. Like I am a child of my father or my mother. I have inherited some of the properties from them. Say for example, this pen belonged to my father. So I have inherited this pen from my father. So I have inherited some properties of my father. I walk like my father. That's an attribute of mine which I have inherited from my father. So similarly, classes can inherit some of the properties of their parents. And how we can do that, I will be explaining in the next class. So stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel if you are new, and if you are and please share it with your friends so that they get to know. Please stay tuned. That will be on the next day. So guys, please give a thumbs up for it. So polymorphism, poly and morph. This word polymorphism is can be broken up into two words, poly and morph. Poly means many, morph means forms. So many forms. It came from the Greek word poly and morph, which meant many forms. So what many forms? We can have a function of from many forms doing multiple types of work. So what are the multiple works a function can perform? The multiple works that a function can perform are like say for example at the very basic, at the starting of the day, I told you the plus operator, which can add two numbers or it can also concatenate two strings. So that was the power of the plus operator, and the plus operator was uh, showing polymorphism. Okay, so I have given an example of here. Next day, guys, please stay tuned for that. Next day, I will be giving a broad lecture on uh, inheritance and polymorphism next to next day. So, guys, that would be my last lecture of the day 7 of this series. So, guys, stay tuned. You'll miss a lot if you miss that. So, then dynamic binding. Dynamic binding is binding the memory while being used. In Python, we saw like each and every variable which is not being used doesn't take up memory. So dynamic binding is performed by Python, and for each and every variable, the memory is bound to the variable at the time of the execution and not before that. So that is dynamic binding. Then message passing. Message passing, for now you understand. We know objects. Objects are nothing but instances of a class. So one object can pass a message to another object, and how it does is what message passing describes. And if any programming language can properly explain this or properly explore these 7 concepts, those are called object-oriented programming language. Now, guys, one revelation: Python is not a proper object-oriented programming language since it does not support strong encapsulation. For a single property, like the founder of Python didn't want that proper like strong encapsulation. He made some small encapsulation parts and abstraction parts. So that's the thing. That's the property of that's one of the things you should keep in mind. So guys, I have made an example, a class named person which has an object, as I told you last day. So it has two class variables, stg and age, and it has three instance variables which are defined in the init method, id, city, and I have written a variable with two underscores. These two underscores are known as dunders. So if I say dunder, we mean two underscores. Dunder is equal to two underscores. I'll be writing it over somewhere over here or somewhere on the screen so that you remember this. Okay, let me write it over here also so that you don't forget, and you can dunder is equals to 2 under, it's double underscore. So this is Dunder, and we'll be talking about Dunder methods and all, why Dunder methods are called magic methods and all in the much advanced series of Python. Like it is much advanced things of Python, which is only possible in Python and all. I'll be talking about those. Those will be hacks on Python. I'll be making a series on hacks on Python, and I'll be posting those over there. That's a thing I will be doing. So I have defined, like as I told you, attributes are variables or values, and actions are nothing but functions and methods. So init method, the constructor method, will construct all the keywords, all the variables. So I have done that over here. Now this is a private variable, and this is kept over here for giving you an example of encapsulation or encapsulation abstraction. So how can we access that inside it? So I have defined another method, and I have defined a method called add, which adds two numbers or adds two objects, any two objects. So, and guys, in class, while we define any function, the first variable is a self variable, then you can add any variables inside the parenthesis. So remember that in class, while defining any function, the first variable is always the self variable. The self is nothing, the last day I told you the self is nothing but a variable which points directly to the class, the object through which I am referring this class. If you are familiar with Java and all, that was done with this keyword, this dot. Then over here it is done by self, and self is the first keyword which is being accepted in each and every function. So guys, please remember that. So I have defined another class over here which inherits, to inherit another class, what we do, in place of that object we pass the name of the class from which we want to inherit some properties, and this super keyword I'll be explaining in the inheritance class. So I am in the while I am making an object of this class, I'll be calling the constructor of the parent class, the person class, and it will be displaying the messages which are present in the parent class. So guys, so I have created the object, classes and object. I have written each and every part today also. So classes and object 1 is equals to person of the first class, and object 1 dot display will display this function will display each and everything present inside the class except the private. So abstraction and encapsulation, it will show an error. Why it will show an error? That's the main thing I wanted to talk. Let me comment this out, and the next day guys, it will be done in much more details, so don't worry. This is there in the next day's class. So then we have done polymorphism, where we have added two numbers and we have also added two strings. So let's see what happens over here. And inheritance, I have created the I have created the object of the second class, and let me change the name of the function in the second class. Let's make it disp. So you didn't get. So I'm calling the disp function of the second class using the object sp created for the second class. Sp, second person, that's why I created the object. So it will call the disp function, which will print the name and the age, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, from the parent class. So name was stg, age was 24. So let's see how this one works. So guys, this is the code. Like the first thing it prints is the name, then the age, then ID which I have given. So city is Kolkata. 11 is adding 5 and 6, and it has added Subhra underscore and the Geek. So our channel's name it has added. So again it has printed the name and the thing. So it has done what we were expecting to do. And now for abstraction, what will happen? If we print this, what will happen? It will show an error. So it will show this error, like person object has no attribute private. Since we have given this dunder, this double underscore before the object name, it has been made as a private, and this can only be accessed as underscore class name double underscore the variable. So if we do that, until unless we do that, we cannot access that. So this is one way of protecting the data. We can secure the data, like I said password is being protected and it cannot be accessed by different classes in this manner. It is for it makes the variable secured for the class. Sorry for the noise guys. So let's now save this and let's run this. Yeah, see, 2435 was my private variable's value. So it prints. Let me like for clearing doubts, pivot variable. So let's now run this again and let's see this for the final time. Yeah, so you see the private variable has been printed. So this is the thing. I'll be covering this abstraction and encapsulation in the next class, so stay tuned for that. And guys, after that I'll be talking about inheritance and polymorphism. So I think you'll be there with me for each and every step of them of the same. So guys, let me move back to my camera mode. Yeah, guys, so I'm back in my camera mode. So I think I have made myself clear about the concept of object-oriented programming, OOPS, and POP, POOPS, which was used. Poop sound like poop, that's why it is banned. Remember like that, I remember it like that. So that's the thing which we learned in C, Fortran, and all those languages. And now we are learning Java, Python, and other high-level languages which are object-oriented languages, and these languages provide this kind of features or all the. So guys, I forgot to talk about that also. Like, what are the features? All the disadvantages or all the drawbacks of the POPS, POPs language, is a feature of OOPS. So remember that all the 4 features, it's mentioned in this file. It's in the GitHub link down below. So you know the GitHub link, and if you are new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the bell notification icon beside it so that you get notified each and every time I post a new video. And please like it and please share it with your friends so that they know how much effort I put in making my content. So guys, if you have any queries, right, regarding the program, regarding previous programs, regarding any program of yours using Python, so my comment section is always open. My social media handles are given below, just down below the GitHub link. So from there you can just friend me, and using that link, what you can do is you can join me over there on my social media handles, and you can directly ask your queries over there. So these are the things which I wanted to talk. And object-oriented programming sense, I love object-oriented programming sense, and I have learned object-oriented first. Then I went to POP, so it's inbuilt love for me for the object-oriented programming languages. And that's all which I wanted to talk. And next 2 days will be much fun than this. So guys, please follow my channel for the same. And if you have any queries, please do comment. And the code is as usual present in the GitHub section. And guys, I have an announcement which I will be making on the day 7, the last day of this video series. And for that announcement, please stay tuned, and that announcement will help you a lot. I'm telling you guys, that announcement will help you a lot. And how it will help you and all, I will be explaining each and every nook and cranny like I do with programs. You will be facing no problems. So again guys, please subscribe to my channel, please follow me on my social media handles, please hit the bell notification icon so that you get notified. Please give a thumbs up to this video for the efforts which I put in. And I think that was all for the day. And if you have any queries, again you can comment. So thank you for bearing with me. If I missed any point, please write them down so that I can take that up. I basically write this thing so that I don't forget. I have secondary insomnia, so I generally forget stuffs. So that's the thing which I wanted to talk. Like, thank you guys again. It was your host Subhra. You were watching Subhra the Geek. Bye bye.